I'm in Brighton with Christopher Gull, and tomorrow he's come in specially from Valencia, where he's now living with his partner Gary, and he's come in for Pride, which is going to be tomorrow.
Saturday.
Oh, beg your pardon, I'm so sorry, Saturday. And he's going to be marching with the parade and holding a banner for the Rainbow Charity. Yeah. Yes, I've got it right. Okay, so please, Chris, hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you after all these years. Can you please tell me all about the Rainbow Charity and how you got involved?
Yeah, it's the Rainbow Fund.
Beg your pardon.
That's all right. And it was started by James Ledward, who is the editor of GC, and Paul Elgood. And they started the fund to raise money to build the AIDS memorial that is now in Eustine Gardens. And
in Brighton.
In Brighton,
yeah, because we are in Brighton.
Yeah, and once, yes, all of this is about Brighton.
Yeah.
Once that had been commissioned and built, there was money left over, and as a legacy from that fundraising, they put together the concept of a kind of an umbrella organisation that would act for community fundraising. We don't do fundraising ourselves, but people fundraise for us, and then we give those funds out in grants to
only in Brighton.
Only in Brighton and Brighton and Hove, and to LGBT and HIV organisations.
And you did mention that it's spelt differently in Spain, which is rather interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but recently, when I went to the Valencia Pride, I noticed, which is much more political, the floats and what have you, and the groups that are marching, there were a lot more, the proportion that were about politics rather than about entertainment, if you like.
How many would be in the community, first of all in Valencia, and then...
Well, the parade took about 3/4 of an hour to get through.
This is in Valencia?
Yeah. And in Brighton it takes up to 2 hours to get through, and 200,000 people watch it in Brighton as well.
200,000?
Yeah, along the streets.
Yes.
So
in Valencia?
Valencia, I don't know the numbers, but it's it's like 1 or 2 deep. Of course, Valencia is a much bigger city than Brighton is.
Yes,
but Brighton is the biggest pride in the UK.
Oh, so, bigger than London?
Yeah. So people come from all
abroad,
over the world.
Yes,
yes. It's a big thing. It's the
I didn't know it was the biggest.
Yeah, and the best, of course.
And where did Pride start?
Hold on, you were asking me about
sorry,
the acronyms.
There's so many things to ask.
Try to concentrate. So one of the things I noticed is whereas we use the acronym LGBT plus, in Spain it's LGTB, and I've no idea why those things get transposed.
And they've only recently added the plus.
Oh no, that's us.
Can you just tell me about the plus?
Well, it's shorthand. It's because LGBT, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender or transsexual, then that people began to put other bits on. So questioning, which is about, that there's a Q sometimes put on for questioning, which is about youngsters who are unsure of their sexuality, or intersex, where
intersex?
Well, intersex.
Not into sex.
No, intersex. So there's an I put on sometimes.
Yes.
Which is kind of recognises within the T for transgender that there's a whole further spectrum of identity, and in the early days it was all about binary identity. So we talked about men who transition to become women, or women who transition to become men, but now there's the idea that there is this kind of a spectrum of gender identity, so that you'll get all kinds of shades within that spectrum. And intersex is recognised in a lot of cultures and tribes through history as being kind of a third gender, which would make it trinary rather than binary. But if you think of it as a spectrum, and people choosing where they fit on that spectrum, it's much easier. So trying to squeeze that all together, and it's a kind of a strange mixture in a way. The thing that we all had in common, LGBT and T, was that we faced discrimination, legal discrimination, societal discrimination, had disadvantages, and we had common things to fight for.
Well, of course, the laws change now.
Well,
same-sex marriage and, partnership.
In this country,
yes.
yes. So most of the T on the LGB and T is kind of a strange fit, because that is about gender identity and it's not about sexuality. Whereas the lesbian, gay, and the bisexual are about what people or who people get turned on by. Whereas gender, that's sexuality. Whereas gender identity is nothing to do with sex per se.
Yes.
So they're not necessarily the same battles. So, for instance, in Brighton, there's now a separate trans pride.
Yes, I saw that. It was the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
That's the fifth one in Brighton,
fifth.
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, it's the biggest trans pride in
the UK. God.
So, and there's all kinds of intersectionality. So within LGBT, you also get people who are either LGB or T, but are disabled, or
yes,
are people of colour, or
yes,
or or are poor, or are rich, and there are all kinds of different problems that come together. And as a community, it is a diverse community within LGB and T.
It sounds like gin and tonic, doesn't it?
I know.
G and T.
Maybe that's why they changed it round in Spain. I don't know. So that it is a diverse community. But getting back to the Rainbow Fund, the fundraising, for instance, from Pride, £1 for every ticket that's sold to go in for people to get into the park in Preston Park.
£1? I thought it was a lot more than that.
No, but £1 of it is ring fenced to come to the Rainbow Fund.
Yes, I beg your pardon. Because they're charging quite a lot now, aren't they?
Well, it depends when you buy your ticket.
Oh, there's an early bird.
So you can get an early bird ticket, I think, and I might be wrong, I think it's £7.50 when it starts off back at the beginning of the year. But, sorry, I'm waving my hands around. I'll try not to do that too much. But
you're living in Spain, so that's why.
Yeah, you have
gesticulating
that's part
wildly.
Of the language and emphasis.
We're going to have to talk more in depth about the Rainbow Fund in part 2, because we're going to be ending quite shortly. Okay, so let's end now, and then we'll continue. Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you very much.